Ramsay, we'll start with John Martha. John?
Coach, you've been unhappy when your team's won and reasonably happy when they've drawn. What are your thoughts on tonight's game?
Yeah, I was really pleased with the way we won the game, not necessarily the manner from a technical nor tactical perspective, but to see the game out in the way we did was really, really impressive. And I think that's a mark of a team that is really together, that knows how to use the crowd and the energy. And that was arguably for everything else that went with the game, us on the ball, the chances we created, that's the most pleasing part of the game. That's the part everyone remembers. And I will say early, that was one of those games. It's not possible to do that without having that crowd behind you. And I think the group in there, they really know how to use that crowd. And I think it's one of those, again, you get to that point where you feel like you almost can't lose it when the atmosphere is so strongly in your favour. So it's a really big win, a really big win for us, and you feel that in there. It's a big step forward.
Eric, you made 5 changes. You alluded to those yesterday. Generally, what was kind of the scope of what you wanted to do, and then particularly Carlos and bringing Robin on? Obviously, he was a difference maker in the second half.
Yeah, obviously everyone will point undoubtedly to the changes and the way the momentum shifts in the second half, but I'll say it's, again, not quite as easy as the narrative appears, I suppose, because we were very dominant in the first half. We did make a load of chances in the first half. Typically, in the second half at home, we always finish games really strongly. So I don't think it's quite so easy again to say that the changes are the difference, but obviously they certainly play their part. But I would say Carlos' first start for us, I think he handled himself really, really well. There were elements of the first half that we were, of course, really pleased with. We were very dominant on the ball. We created a good number of chances. We had some sloppy moments, of course, that allow the opposition back in when they really shouldn't. But I always felt that if we could get to the hour mark in good shape, then we'd have a really good chance of winning the game.
Are you concerned at all that you got sort of a unit that's been scoring goals and then that unit that started the game tonight that couldn't find the back of the net?
It's to an extent, but I always try and take the game as a whole, because obviously the guys that start the game, they handle the ball relatively well. We have a good amount of possession. They managed to pen Portland in on the top of their box for a long time. Obviously that has an effect on Portland, and I think for me it feels as though they were almost unable to finish the game strongly themselves on the basis of the balance of play. So of course the guys come on, the game's open, there's a lot of momentum, the crowd's really with us, so I think that naturally lends itself to more goal scoring opportunities. But of course you can't deny, I've just handed Robin his a shirt to commemorate the fact that he is now the club's top scorer, and in typical Robin fashion, he's done what he does really, really well. So it's him as well as a load of other guys that really contributed tonight.
When you look at, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. Sangbin obviously had been goalless through 9 games. Did you feel like he was pressing or trying to do too much? And then kind of, what did you feel like tonight was his breakthrough?
I always felt with Sangbin that he, for want of a better phrase, would come good in that sense, because he gives so much to the team. Obviously, when I'm asked about Tani and Sangbin and the goal scoring and the lack of goals, or Timu, it's always for me what they bring to the team in general as much as those moments. And I think we're again, I make the point, we're a really strong collective. We need players that are really playing for the team, that are really defending as part of a unit, that really attack with strategy in mind as opposed to just individual goal tallies and assists. So Sangbin is one of those players. He's a really selfless player, a proper team player. So he brings loads on top of goals, and I know that the goals and chances will come because he gets himself in some really good positions.
What did you think of Kaden Clark's performance starting on the right when maybe we've gotten used to seeing him on the left?
Yeah, I don't think it's obviously we've played him in an unfamiliar role today, and I think there were moments where he was really, really good, very threatening, used the ball very aggressively, certainly threatened to make something happen from the top of the box, which is a really pleasing thing. Took up some really good positions, had some really good moments defensively, but of course when you're playing that role for one of the first times at this level, then it will feel unfamiliar. You're slightly exposed in that sense, but I knew that was going to be the case for him today, and it was a nice step forward. He's someone with a lot of different qualities. I do see him as one of the squad's more versatile players, so I'm hoping that over the course of the season he can fulfil lots of roles for us, and he certainly played his part tonight.
Obviously, Mickey got sent off. What did you take of his first yellow and kind of the confrontation there?
Yeah, I probably wouldn't comment too much without having had a chance to watch them back. But I think it was one of those games. The nature of it, I think that often games are like that with Portland. So we were really conscious of trying not to get drawn into that. But I think as the game goes on, with the nature of it and the added time and the intensity of the occasion, I think it's collateral damage in that sense. So I won't dwell on it too much.
Is that going to affect going into the next few games, especially being in a tight schedule, having a couple players who sitting on cards that?
Yeah, but I think I'm fortunate by design that we're going into this busy period with lots of players who've played lots of minutes. So as you've seen tonight, we've used 15 outfield players. We've often used 15 outfield players. We often make changes. So fortunately, I'm not reliant on 10 or 11 players to see us through the next month. We've got decent depth. So as has been the case most often this season, when someone comes out, someone comes in, it's an opportunity for them to really stake a claim for a place in the team from the start.
We've seen you make 3 subs at a time, and then tonight even 4 subs at a time. What is your reasoning behind doing them all at once versus spreading them out?
I think you can get a really big momentum shift as we have today, and in some senses, from an organisation perspective, it's easier to make wholesale changes, and you can do everything in one fell swoop, change the shape, change the approach. So there's that. There's also making sure that we're pretty strict on keeping players fresh, and we get a good balance of minutes across the group. There'll be weeks where it works for us, there'll be weeks where it doesn't work for us, but I think over the course of the season, minutes in legs and good spreads of minutes, all the players feeling really connected to the project, the way we're moving forward, I think that's arguably got the biggest benefit.
What's your initial reaction on the 2 PKs, the one that wasn't given and the one that was given and then taken back?
Yeah, I think you can make an argument for it being taken away. It's probably easier for me to stand here and say that having won the game, I might foolishly sort of look at it differently if that wasn't the case. So, again, instance that I won't really dwell on too much.
It looked like there was maybe a elation that you had kind of in the moments after that game. I mean, was there anything in particular for that kind of reaction?
No, it's just the nature of winning at home here, particularly in a situation like that where the team's really, really ground out a very difficult 12 minutes, and certainly by the time you're down to 10 men, you need players to be heroes, use the energy of the crowd, put their bodies on the line, really run, and they did that to a man. So that's it's a great way to finish a game, and I think for me that's the best atmosphere I've seen here, and that's saying something. So I think to finish a game like that is it's everything that you want to experience as a Minnesota player and staff member, should I say. Good. Thanks, guys. Cheers.